Jets Ward.
ETS Jets. What is going on, Jet fan? And welcome back to another episode of the Jets Ward. I'm your host, Ryan Ward, and I'm so excited to be back with you guys. I got a fun one for you, but first, if you have been here before, welcome back. You know I love having you guys here. It is a great place to be because you guys keep coming back for more. And if you are new here, welcome. Whether you're a Jets fan of another NFL team, or just a casual NFL fan, you are always welcome here. It is a safe space for you. Now, guys, a big offseason so far. A lot of moves have been made, trades, signings. The draft has taken place already. We're in OTAs going on so far. And post June 1st coming up. June 1st is coming up, and that's a really big day in the offseason because this is the time where a lot of teams need to make decisions on players. This is where a lot of contracts, guarantees are up, and where a lot of trades or cuts and things like that can take place. And what I wanted to do for you guys today is I've wanted to give you a possible trade candidate for every NFL team post June 1st. So going through every team, which players could they possibly trade, get rid of for cap reasons, for just because of the way they drafted, the signings that they've made, and just go through. And I would love to hear your feedback on this as well after the video down in the comments section. But I want to start it off with the AFC East, and we are going to go into Buffalo first. And this is a player who's had trade rumors all offseason, and you just don't know how this team feels about Keon Coleman. They've traded for DJ Moore. They got Jordan Palmer last year. They've got all these players, Khalil Shakir still over there. It's a busy room over there, and Keon Coleman just really hasn't lived up to the hype that they had for him in Buffalo. And it doesn't help when your GM at the end of the season comes out and calls him out. The new head coach, seems to like him, but there's always a chance that a young player like this could just get a fresh start, might need a fresh start. And Keon Coleman's only 23. He's a big body receiver, 6'3", 213 pounds, only played in 13 games last year. 38 receptions out of 59 targets, had 404 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's got big red zone threat. He's got decent speed. It's just the focus that really needs to come down for this kid. A little bit more maturity he needs. But overall, he could be a solid number 2, 3 option as a wide receiver. He can be a bigger slot for you if you want. He can play on the outside, good boundary type of receiver, red zone guy. I just don't think Buffalo right now is the place for him, especially when your GM comes out and comments after the end of the season that they're not happy with you, pretty much. And with Keon Coleman, too. It's just been a lot. It's a busy room. We said the same thing about A.D. Mitchell when the Jets traded for him over in Indianapolis when they had Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alex Pierce. They had all these players, and A.D. Mitchell, young player, just couldn't get on the field. And when he did, made some boneheaded mistakes. Keon Coleman's doing the same. And I honestly think a new team could be really beneficial for him. And there's a lot of teams who would really like the talent that this kid brings and the size that this kid brings. Imagine him going to a team like, I don't know, Arizona could always use another big-bodied receiver. They've got a solid wide receiving core over there. Miami could always use a new receiver as well, especially since they're lacking at that. And bringing in a young kid like him, doubt Buffalo would trade him there. But that's just idea spreading. Chicago could use a big body receiver. I know they have Roma Dunze over there, but adding in Keon Coleman could help as well. There's just a lot of teams that could really utilize this kid's talent. And I think Chiefs too. Indianapolis Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs bringing in Keon Coleman. I really think Andy Reid could do a really good job molding this kid and getting him ready. and preparing him and working with Pat Mahomes too. I get they have Josh Allen, but Pat Mahomes is, I think, one of the best QBs in this league, just like Josh Allen, but I think a better offensive mind with Andy Reid instead of Joe Brady, who's a young up-and-comer guy. But I really like Keon Coleman. I think he's one of the big trade options post-June 1st that the Buffalo Bills could have. Now, sticking in the division, going over to Miami, I think Willie Gay. A lot of people have talked about Jordan Brooks, the linebacker there. I really think Willie Gay is somebody who could be on the trade block here. Older guy, 28 years old, 6'1", 246 pounds. Played in all 17 games last year, but didn't really produce much. Only 20 tackles, 10 by himself, 2 sacks. Good locker room guy, leader. Does deal with injuries every now and again. Full season played last year, but a guy who I think could just be utilized in a better situation. The Miami Dolphins have a lot of talent in that linebacker room, and I just think Willie Gay could be utilized on a better team, or on, not a better team, but in a better situation. I don't think that situation over there really fits him in Miami, and I think he needs a new start somewhere else. So Willie Gay is the trade option that I think. I don't think he'd cost very much for teams as well, but he's the option for Miami that I came up with. Next one, for the Patriots. This one is an obvious one. He's been on the trade market, it seems, for a while now, for weeks, maybe even a month or two. Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver from the New England Patriots, only 24 years old, 5'11", 197 pounds, played in 14 games last year, 551 yards, 6 touchdowns. The guy is a solid young player. Why would you want to get rid of a young talent? Well, you got Rome Odunze, you got Williams, you got all of these different types of receivers over there, and it just doesn't seem like the Patriots are all in on this kid. Imagine him going into the Rams, onto the Rams as a third receiver option. I think that would boost that offense so much more. I don't think this one is a situation where it's going to be repaired, it's going to be fixed. I think he's going to get traded. I think it's going to come around very soon, and I think he's going to go into a much better situation than what he is right now, to a team that actually wants him there, because it doesn't seem like New England really wants him there at this point. And going into the next one, our beloved New York Jets, my beloved New York Jets, I got Harrison Phillips. And I know what a lot of people are going to say, why the hell would you put him? Well, I understand. I respect the leadership that he has. I love the type of player he is. But the Jets have added on that defensive line all off season. We've drafted Darrell Jackson. We've signed David Onyemata. We traded for Trevondre Sweat. We brought in Joseph Asai. We have brought in Kingsley Enagbare. We brought in all of this defensive line talent. And it's a crowded room. And I really like Harrison Phillips. And if they keep him, great. I would love it, because I think the Jets are going to be in a 3-front anyway, moving from the 4-front to the 3-front. And I think Harrison Phillips as a bigger defensive end would be very beneficial for it. But I do see the Jets, if an opportunity comes, Darren Muji is not afraid to trade players and come out of nowhere doing it. Hell, we had signed Sauce Gardner to a long-term extension, and in the same season, traded him to the Colts. So Darren Muji's not afraid to wheel and deal. We traded for Harrison Phillips last year. I wouldn't be shocked if we traded him for other assets this year, because of how big the room is that we got and how much talent there is. And if he can get us a quality draft pick, 4th round, 5th round, it's something that you might think of. I love the leadership, love the player, but this is something that the Jets could possibly do if a trade arose, if a good enough offer was given to us. And we know that Darren Muji is always willing to make a deal. Now, continuing on, we get into the next team, the Baltimore Ravens. This is another one that there have been rumors that they could possibly move on from. Ravens, Rashad Bateman, 26 years old, 6'1", 193 pounds, played in 13 games last year, 19 receptions, 38 targets, 224 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. A guy who's just never really clicked in Baltimore. And it's not for them not trying. They've wanted it to work with Rashad Bateman. Injuries have just stockpiled on this kid. And I think a new place could be a really good beginning for him. Fresh start, especially since the Ravens drafted Elijah Surratt. They drafted, the kid from USC. Jalen, I forget what his name is, but I'll remember it later on. They've drafted all of these different receivers. They still have Zay Flowers. They still have Mark Andrews as an option. So I just think that Rashad Bateman could be the odd man out, especially, I understand he's young still, but the injuries are a major concern with him. I don't think it would cost teams as much. Raiders could be an interesting team for him as well, just to put him with that. And Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins could be a fun one for him, just to see what he can do. And I think a team would be willing to take a risk on those injuries and take a shot on Rashad Bateman because there is a lot of talent there. And he's a willing blocker. He's got good speed. He's got good hands. Solid route runner as well. I honestly think teams are interested in him. I'm interested to see if teams will make a move for him post June 1st. Going to the next team, we got the Cincinnati Bengals, and I got BJ Hill. Reason for it. They signed Jonathan Allen this offseason from the Minnesota Vikings. They traded for Dexter Lawrence, both defensive tackles who are going to be starting on that defensive line. They've added talent to that defensive front. BJ Hill is an odd man out, in my opinion. Good player, great locker room guy, but I think still has a lot of talent. I think the Bengals could possibly get something for him. I think Detroit would be a great fit for him, adding to that defensive line. He's 31 years old, 6'3", 311 pounds, played in all 17 games last year, 66 total tackles, 29 by himself, 4 sacks. I think there's a lot that he can still add, veteran leadership to a young defense. I think that the Detroit Lions would be a great one. Alexa, kitchen lights 100. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. Lights like to go out on me every now and again. But I think that could be a great fit for him. So BJ Hill, interesting option to be traded. I think that could be a fun one for the Bengals. Next, let's continue. This is an interesting situation. It's Cleveland. I think Dillon Gabriel could be the odd man out there. Deshaun Watson's back. Shedeur Sanders played pretty well last year when given the opportunity. Dillon Gabriel struggled at times last year and looked lost. New head coach who didn't draft him could be out on him. And they drafted Taylon Green out of Arkansas. Dillon Gabriel, I think, could be the odd man out there. So very interesting option. I think it could be a concern. I think there's a team that could still be willing to take a shot on him. Maybe Atlanta would like to take a shot. They have Michael Penix still. Gets injured a lot, though. They have Tua Tagovailoa. Gets injured a lot, though. So they could QB3 for that team could be a very interesting option. And Stefanski might want to go for the QB that he wanted on Cleveland. And Dillon Gabriel could be a solid option for him. Knows the type of offense that Stefanski is going to run as well. So that's something to consider. And then for Pittsburgh, big one too, Alex Highsmith. They got Nate Herbig, who's interested, who is an interesting prospect that could break out if given the opportunity. Alex Highsmith is a big one. Struggles to stay healthy, but when he's on the field, is a monster at the edge rushing position. Great player, physical, angry player. Got a lot of upside still left in his game. If he can stay healthy, he's a monster. 9+ sack guy a season. Can give you a lot of physicality on that defense. I wouldn't mind the Jets trying to go for him. I understand our linebacking room is loaded and our edge rushing room is pretty loaded. Our linebacker room, I digress, not loaded. But bringing him in, especially if the Jets were to run like a 5 front or even a 4 front, bringing him in as another outside linebacker, I would be all for that. But I know it would cost you a high pick, probably a 2nd round pick. I'd be willing to part with that for Alex Highsmith, especially since we brought Carl Dunbar here as our defensive line coach, and the work that he's done with Highsmith and with TJ Watt over there, I'd be willing to bring someone like that in. High upside, a lot of physicality, great player. See Minnesota also going for him because Brian Flores worked with him there as well in Pittsburgh, and Highsmith had a great season under Brian Flores, so that's something to consider too. Next one, we go to Houston, and I got Trent Brown. Older lineman, 6'8", 379, not the player he used to be. The Texans have done work on the offensive line. Trent Brown could be somebody who could be the odd man out there. There's a lot of teams who need offensive line help. And honestly, Texans got one that could use all the offensive line help they need. But I think Trent Brown, older guy, I think they could upgrade in some way. shape, or form. I think he could be the odd man out over there in Houston. Then for the next team, Anthony Richardson, obvious one. Daniel Jones is the quarterback one there. Anthony Richardson, they've told him that he can look for a trade if he wants to. I know they're obviously looking for a trade, just nothing's popped up yet. Post June 1st, I think something definitely can happen. There's a lot of teams who would love to bring him in as a reclamation project. Tons of talent, still young, strong kid, great athlete, great runner of the football. If they could just get him to be a better passer, the sky's the limit for this kid. Another one, Green Bay might be a great place for him. Look what they've done with Malik Willis, or getting him that contract for Miami. To sit behind Jordan Love and learn, I think Anthony Richardson would benefit from that highly. So that's a team to watch out for as well when it comes to quarterback and Anthony Richardson. But this one is one that's obviously, I think, going to happen at some point. Then we get to the Jaguars, lineman Walker Little. This one's been rumored all offseason that the Jaguars could move on from him. Injury-prone lineman. When he's on the field, he's solid, but that's the problem. He's not on the field very often. And I think quality depth piece, if you need him to, can start games, but the injuries are a concern. But Jaguars have upgraded that offensive line. Walker Little could be the odd man out there. I think Walker Little is the option for the Jaguars if they were to trade him. Definitely doesn't need to happen, but I think he'd be the candidate to get cut or traded post June 1st. Then we get to the Titans, another obvious one. Just like the Colts, we got Will Levis. They got Cam Ward as their quarterback 1. They signed Mitch Trubisky as quarterback 2. And I just don't think there's a place for Will Levis in Tennessee. I love the upside. He didn't play last year. Or he's just a kid who, cannon of an arm. If he's in the right situation, similar to Anthony Richardson, just to sit and learn, I think the side could be the limit for this kid. I could see Pittsburgh as a big place for him. Green Bay as another one. I see there's a lot of places that could utilize this kid's talent. Minnesota possibly as another option. I think just another situation where a fresh start could be very beneficial for this kid with an offensive-minded head coach just to learn and sit and work. I know the Jets have been rumored for him. I wouldn't mind it, because I always think we need more competition in that quarterback room. And I honestly, with Frank Reich, I would not mind that. So Will Levis is another one I think is going to get traded at some point this offseason. Continuing on, we get to the Denver Broncos. Troy Franklin is a name that keeps popping up. The Broncos traded for Jalen Waddle. They still got Cortland Sutton. They got Mims over there as well. He could be an option to be traded, but I think Troy Franklin is the option that could go. He's a bigger-bodied receiver, 6'3", 180, 23 years old, had a great season last year, and somebody that Bo Nix relied on in a lot of cases. But I think he could be the odd man out because of the Jalen Waddle trade. Very similar play style to Jalen Waddle. I know the injuries are a concern with Waddle, but I think the Broncos could get a great amount of draft capital for Troy Franklin. Probably a second-round pick, in my opinion, at most. Solid player with a ton of upside, still really young. I think he could be the option to be traded if the Broncos were to trade anybody. Then we get to the next one. Chiefs, Christian Fulton. They traded up for cornerback Mansour Delane. They have added to that DB room. Christian Fulton just gets injured a lot, isn't consistent, does not stay healthy. Getting a late-round pick for him would be beneficial. There's other teams that could use cornerback depth. But Cleveland is one. Jacksonville is one. So Christian Fulton could be a solid get you a 5th or 6th round pick, maybe a 7th round pick. I just think Kansas City were to move on for him. I think that would be beneficial for both sides because the injuries are just a major concern for this player. And I think the Chiefs have done enough to add to that DB room. So Christian Fulton could be the man that gets traded there. Then we get to the Raiders. And this is one that not a lot of people have talked about, and I'm shocked. Aiden O'Connell, quarterback, 3rd-string quarterback for the Raiders. They drafted Fernando Mendoza. They signed Kirk Cousins. I think Aiden O'Connell, I'm shocked that now no teams have really tried to trade for him. He's got starting experience. He's still young. He's only 27 years old and has shown flashes when he's been able to start. Good arm, not great. 6'3", 206 pounds, good build. The Jets, if they were to take a shot on him as a backup quarterback option, I wouldn't mind that because I think he's a competent QB2 and could give you can start games for you and win some games for you if you needed. I really think Aiden O'Connell would be a very good trade option for any team needing a QB2. Really, honestly, I think he's got good pocket awareness. I think he protects the ball pretty well. I think he can go through his processes very good of range, good deep ball too, and good mid game. Work on the short range a little bit, but I think he's a really solid quarterback 2 option. And I'm shocked not more people are talking about him as a trade option that the Raiders could have. Now, continuing on, we get to the Chargers. Tony Jefferson, I know they extended him, but he's older. He's 34 years old, still playing at a good level. Played in 13 games last year, had 4 interceptions, 7 passes defended, still great cover safety. But the Chargers have added to that DB room through the draft and free agency. And I think just an aging DB could be a concern. Injuries are a concern. I think they could get a 5th or 6th round pick for him. Most likely a 6th round pick for an aging DB. Still playing at a high level. Still playing at a solid level. Maybe not a high level. But somebody you can rely on there. And could be a very good veteran presence for a young DB room. Atlanta could be a fun one for them. And just in case any other teams are looking for DB help, Eagles could always use more DB help as well. And I think that would be a good spot for him too. So Tony Jefferson could be the odd man out for the Chargers. Could be an interesting one for him. Next, we get into the next one, the Dallas Cowboys. I've got KaVontae Turpin, wide receiver. Also special teams expert, returner, 5'9", 153 pounds, 15 games played last year. He's going to beat you with speed. Not the best route runner, but he does add a ton on the special teams as a returner. And just a guy who can get open, run solid routes. Not the best routes, but speed kills. If you want a gadget guy, KaVontae Turpin is the guy to go for. They have George Pickens there, who I think they're going to end up giving a contract to. I know there's issues going on. He doesn't want to play on the franchise tag. But I think they're going to get a deal done. They still got CeeDee Lamb there. And I really think KaVontae Turpin could be the guy that they get picks for. So he could be the one on the outs for the Cowboys. Next one for the Giants, Kayvon Thibodeau. This has to happen. At this point, we're just running around in circles with it. A new start could be great for him. The Giants have been taking calls on him, offers, haven't accepted one yet, but I really think that something's going to come down and they're going to make the call, or they're going to make the call to trade him. I really think Kayvon Thibodeau, there's still a ton of upside, only 25 years old, crowded edge room with Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, all of these guys there. Kayvon Thibodeau just hasn't lived up to the expectations that the Giants have had on him. New head coach. I really think he could be the one gets traded. I think it does happen eventually. And there's a lot of teams that could utilize a young edge rusher like him. So watch out for a Kayvon Thibodeau trade coming down the line real soon. He's an interesting one to keep an eye on. Next, let's keep going to the Eagles, A.J. Brown. The reason for I made this video is because rumors going all the way back to the draft that A.J. Brown, once June 1st gets here, he's gone. He's going to go to the Patriots. Rumors coming out that they're still far away on a deal. I know the Eagles are looking for a first-round pick. Patriots seemingly unwilling to give that, but I think a deal does end up happening. I think the place is New England, which unfortunately for us Jets fans, I would be upset with. But A.J. Brown, still a top receiver in this league, still a physically imposing receiver in this league. I just think that time in Philly is over. They want him out. I think he wants out. They drafted Mekhi Lemon, adding to that receiver room. They still got Devontae Smith. They signed Elijah Moore. They're bringing in these receivers. I think A.J. Brown, it's just it's when, not if he gets traded. It's when at this point. And post June 1st seems the likely time when the deal is going to get done. And most likely it's going to be New England at this point. So continuing on, we get to Washington. And I had 2 guys that I was going to bring up, but Frankie Louvu seems like a very interesting one. And the reason is because they signed Leo Chenal to a good contract this offseason. They drafted the linebacker from Ohio State as well, Styles. So Frankie Luvu, getting older, still playing at a good level, had 3 sacks last year, 2 forced fumbles, played in all 17 games, 86 total tackles. I wouldn't mind a Jets reunion. Again, outside linebacker coming. We're seemingly bringing back all these Jets guys too. Geno Smith, Demario Davis. Why not bring Frankie Luvu back? I don't think he'd cost you too much either. A 4th-round pick possibly. I'd give up a 4th-round pick for Frankie Luvu, who's still playing at a high level, who could still get after the quarterback. Aggressive player as well. I think would fit perfectly in Aaron Glenn's defense. I think that would be a great move. Other teams, I think, could utilize him as well. Buffalo could always use more linebackers too. Miami, New England could always utilize a player like this with his style of game. I think Frankie Luvu is a fun one to watch. I would not be mad if the Jets were to go trade for him. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Commanders were willing to trade him. Now, continuing on, we get to the Bears. Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet's an interesting one. They got Colston Loveland. They drafted the tight end out of Stanford this year. Cole Kmet, I think, is a very underrated tight end in this league. I think he could be considered a top 10 tight end in this league if given the opportunity. Kansas City would be a sneaky one that I would think. Travis Kelce's not going to be around forever. Cole Kmet's still young and I think would benefit in an Andy Reid type of offensive system. And finally giving another threat to Patrick Mahomes. You got him, Kenneth Walker. You have Travis Kelce still. Bringing Cole Kmet, run a 2 tight end set offense, I think could be really beneficial. Cole Kmet could be very good on a lot of different teams. Jacksonville as well could utilize his skills. I think that could be a fun one. Denver could be a fun one. I know they just drafted Justin Joly, but he could be a very fun one over there as well. So Cole Kmet, a player to watch out for as well, that the Bears could end up trading. Then we get to the Lions. I couldn't really think of one for the Lions. They have a lot of great players. Jameson Williams getting over 1,000 yards last year. His name was brought up on trade rumors last year. I think a team would be willing to give up a late 1st-round pick for him. Great receiver, great blazing speed, only 25 years old. I think a wide receiver needy team would definitely give up a 1st-round pick, mid to late 1st-round pick for Jameson Williams. A lot of talent there, and I think he's just getting better and better every year. Do the Lions do it? I doubt it, because I think they love that combo of Tesla, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Williams. But if they want Tesla to take that next step, Williams would obviously be the odd man out, and I think he could be utilized on a lot of good teams. Someone would be willing to give up a 1st-round pick for Williams. I'm confident in that. Just a great player overall. The Lions, players-wise, I think he'd be the one who they would trade post-June 1st, but I doubt they would actually trade him. That would shock me if they did. Continuing on, Green Bay, I got Lucas Van Ness here. His name has come up in rumors for trades as well. They traded for Micah Parsons last year. They've added to that defensive line unit over there. Lucas Van Ness could be the odd man out. Strong player, physical player, big guy too. That only a year or two in the league. Hasn't really shown much though. Solid in the run game. I think could be more explosive. Just really hasn't gotten on the field. Been injured a good amount of times as well. So he could be somebody that they move on from to get a 3rd or 4th-round pick from. He could be the one they trade that could add more draft capital to that team, Lucas Van Ness. And I think a lot of teams would take a shot on a young edge rusher with that size and power that he has. Getting to the Vikings, Ivan Pace. Here's a player that just really hasn't done much in this league. And I think the Pace, I think he's been the odd man out in that linebacker room. Blake Cashman has been doing very well. I know that could be an option that they trade. But I think Pace, young 28-year-old, could be the option for a trade. I think he can get you a 5th-round pick, something like that. And I think he would just benefit in a defense that requires more speed, smaller linebackers. Tennessee with Robert Saleh, I think, would really utilize him properly. And I think, yeah, Tennessee could be a team that could really utilize his skills, in my opinion. I think Robert Saleh could get the best out of him, just like he did with Sherwood. So that's something to watch too. But I think Pace would be the trade that the player that the Vikings would end up trading. Continuing on, we get to the Falcons. I got Kyle Pitts. Rumors are spreading. Teams are calling. I think if the Falcons wanted to, they could trade him, get a good amount of capital back for him. There's still solid tight ends out there on the free agent market. Or if you wanted, you can call up the Raiders and get Michael Mayer. I think he's still young, solid player as well. Bring him over. I think he would fit Stefanski's offense very, very well. And again, they don't need to trade him. They bringing him back. It's his last year on his deal. Doesn't seem like a contract extension is coming anytime soon. But Kyle Pitts, I think would benefit on a lot of teams. And again, Denver could utilize him. I think New England would be very, very good with him as well. So I think Kyle Pitts it seems like he's coming around, figuring it out now, and had a great season last year. And I think he could definitely be utilized. Miami would be a fun one for him too. They need a tight end, and Kyle Pitts would make a lot of sense for the Miami Dolphins, especially with a new quarterback in Malik Willis. Get him a comfortable tight end that he can utilize. Get him, that's a solid weapon. That could be a perfect fit for Kyle Pitts, the Miami Dolphins. Continuing on, Xavier Legette for the Carolina Panthers. Just hasn't worked out. Still a young player. Looks like he came into the OTAs, the offseason, overweight as well. Those were the rumors that I heard about him. It just really hasn't clicked. Focus problems, drops. It's been a concern with him. He's got great speed, and he's got power, and he's got the size to be a solid wide receiver in this league. But it just really hasn't worked out. And I really see him going on the same route that Treylon Burks did when he was with Tennessee. Just not working out. The injuries concern. Then last year, the Commanders took a shot on him, and he turned out to be a really good receiver for them. So they brought him back. Xavier Legette, I feel like could be the same player. He could be a cut candidate, and I wouldn't be shocked. But I think the Panthers would try to get something for him just because of the physical size that he's got. He's a willing blocker, got good speed. If he can focus and be utilized the right way, I think Xavier Legette could be a fun option for a lot of teams, but he'd have to prove it. So he could be the option for a trade for the Carolina Panthers. Next one, I got Alvin Kamara. They traded or signed Travis Etienne to be their starting running back. Alvin Kamara, I know he said that he doesn't want to go anywhere other than the Saints, and they don't have to trade him, but it makes a lot of sense. He's not going to want to get less carries. And with Etienne there, he's the number one running back. I don't think Alvin Kamara is going to be very happy with that. But I think if he were traded to a team that could utilize his skills that are in need of a running back, Denver makes a ton of sense. I know they have a crowded running back room right now, but he knows Sean Payton's offense. Sean Payton knows his skill set. He had a lot of success with each other. So I think Alvin Kamara in Denver would be a great opportunity for him and still show that he belongs here. I know injuries were a concern last year. He's getting up there in age, but I think it's time for the Saints and for Alvin Kamara to move on. And I think the Broncos would give up some picks to bring him in because he knows that system. And it's a young running back room too. J.K. Dobbins does get hurt a good amount. RJ Harvey, you don't know what he is. You got Jonah Coleman there as well, who I really like, but he's a rookie. You don't really know. Bring in Alvin Kamara, who can help these young guys out and take a load off of those young men. I think it would be really good for him. So Alvin Kamara to the Broncos, I think, could make a lot of sense as well. Getting into the next one, I got Kalijah Kancey for the Buccaneers. They drafted Ruben Bain. They brought in all these guys on the defensive line. Kalijah Kancey played in 3 games last year and honestly hasn't really shown explosiveness when he's been on the field. I think he was a player that had a ton of upside, had one good season, but the injuries have started to pile up on him. And I think the Bucs are done with him. I think the Ruben Bain draft pick, I think great move for them, but I think it's showed the end for Kalijah Cansey there, who can play defensive tackle and play the end. Only 25 years old, but coming off a gruesome injury. I really think a team would take a shot on him. I think he's still got a ton of upside, especially if he comes back very healthy. And I think Kalijah Cansey could be a very interesting option as a trade candidate for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Continuing on, Josh Sweat. This rumor has been going on for the last week and a half. Josh Sweat seems like he wants out. The Cardinals might not be willing to give up on him, but he's holding out. He doesn't seem happy that Gannon was fired, even though it was obvious that he needed to go. He signed last year in the offseason to reunite with Gannon, and it just really – he had a great season last year, but it doesn't seem like he's happy now that they got a rookie head coach. They drafted a running back in the first round, Jeremiah Love, which is a great offensive mind, a great player, but it doesn't show you're winning. Your starting quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, who on most teams would be the backup, is holding out for more money. The Cardinals aren't going anywhere, and I don't think a player like Josh Sweat, who's 29 years old and not getting any younger, wants to be in a rebuild. So he wants to be on a contender. He wants to get to the Super Bowl. Cardinals aren't going to give him that opportunity for a couple years, maybe even longer. So he wants to win. He wants to win right now, and I don't blame him for it. So the Cardinals could definitely get a lot of good capital for him, but we'll see if it actually happens. Maybe he wants another contract, a reworked contract, get more money. That could be something he's holding out for, but I just think he wants out. I don't think he is happy with the new coaching staff, so that could be something that he wants out of. Continuing on, we get to the Rams, and I'm going to bring up Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee, they got Ferguson there. They got all these different tight ends, and Tyler Higbee seems like he could catch you a solid draft pick, a third-round pick, fourth-round pick. He's coming off injury last year, only played in 10 games, but when healthy, he could be a very physically imposing tight end. He's getting older, a solid receiver, underrated receiver, but a better blocker in my opinion. Injuries have started to pile up on the guy, but it's a loaded tight end room that the Rams have over there, and I think they want to go with the younger options. Higbee could be the odd man out, could be a cut candidate in my opinion, save them some money, but I think they want to get a draft pick for him, maybe a 5th or 6th round pick. Continuing on, Brandon Ayuk. I honestly think the 49ers end up cutting him, but they might want to try to hold out for a draft pick. The Washington Commanders could be very interested. That's the rumor going around, that they're just waiting for the Niners to cut him so that they could sign him. I think the 49ers want draft picks for him. They want capital. Guy hasn't played since 2024 and hasn't even been around the team. It seems like 49ers are done with him. He seems done with the Niners. I think they're just holding out for picks. We will see how this one goes out. I think there's going to be a move that takes place very soon after the post-June 1 date and all the contract guarantees are up. Last one. I would be very, very shocked with this one because of what he's meant to that defense. Leonard Williams on the Seahawks, they have really done very well building up their defense. They have young defensive players there. Leonard Williams, 31 years old, still putting up some solid numbers. Great run defender, getting 7 sacks last year, but getting up there in age. They might want to strike while the iron's hot. Get a 3rd-round pick for him. Trade him to a defensive end needing team, edge rushing needing team. I think Leonard Williams, I'd be shocked, but I think he could be the guy that they end up trading. Shocking moves in the NFL take place all the time. Will they do it? I doubt it, but I could see it happening, in my opinion. He's won a Super Bowl there. Seahawks might want to move on at this point, get younger players in there to make some moves. Honestly, would be shocked if the Seahawks were to move him, but could see him being the one if they were to make a move, could see him being the one that they trade. But honestly, guys, that is all I have for you. Those are all of my picks. I know, sorry about the lights going off and the lights not coming back on fully. I appreciate the patience. Again, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below as well. Are there any players that you think could be traded post June 1st by any of the teams? Are there any players you'd want to try to go after? I'd love to hear all your comments down below. Make sure you comment as well. If you want me to start going live more often, let me know as well. I've been contemplating going live at certain points too. Just really haven't done it much. But if you want me to start going live more to do all these trade options, power ranking videos, let me know. I'd be willing to go live if you guys are willing to watch and sit with me and talk with me and comment. But let me know down below. Also, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell for any notifications of when I post videos, just so you stay updated on what's going on in the Jets Ward. Also, follow me on X, Instagram, and on TikTok. I try to post all my videos and shorts there as well, just so you see me on other platforms. But other than that, guys, you know I love you. You know I appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for joining me in the Jets Ward. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
The Jets Ward.